Watch this.
It's a staple of a growing city, but also a nuisance, adding inconvenience to downtown parking and pulling people away from businesses. We talked to one business owner today who said all this construction is actually worse than running a business in the pandemic. Spring cleaning is a thing. It's been such a thing, a year-round thing. For one Idaho man, he's not only dedicated his life to it, but also a 3-story museum. Spring is also the time for the birds, and in some cases, the birds and the bees. An up-close look at nature in all its glory with Ospreys in Eagle. Boise skyline these days has been seeing a lot more than buildings. Maybe you've noticed those big machines that help build the buildings downtown, all the cranes and all the traffic diversions that go along with it. There's a lot of questions from a lot of you asking, okay, so what exactly are they working on these days? But there are also a lot of questions from business owners near all of this construction asking when it will get back to normal and when can we get back to normal business? That's what we want to ask of Joe Paris to find out, well, what are they hearing downtown?
Well, Brian, if you've driven through downtown in recent weeks, you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. A sea of orange cones greet you driving into downtown. And a few of you have asked us, what's being constructed? And the answer is a lot. Hotels, apartments, residential spots, retail, even a new College of Western Idaho campus in the lot off of Whitewater Park and Main Street down there. But a real addition to the downtown corridor is the construction and the chaos. And we'll show you some of the video from down there if you haven't seen this. And you want to talk about businesses being impacted? Just take Foot Dynamics, for example. They're really in the thick of it on 11th and Main. And this isn't high-level logic when it comes to the problems that businesses are seeing. Construction is blocking off roads, creating traffic, making it hard for people to park. So people are just not going to businesses downtown as much in these impacted areas. So orange cones, they'll show you up close that there's construction, yes. But let's take a look from a bird's eye view at the footprint of current construction in this corridor downtown. And we'll show you, this is the road work map from the Ada County Highway District here. As you can guess, the colors on the map, they indicate heavy activity or changes in the downtown area. And you can see here, between Front and Idaho, between 12th and 10th, that's a high activity area. Closures marked in red, green shows the lane restrictions. And yes, some of those downtown streets are one-ways, complicating the situation there. Now, business owners know this, and their longtime customers, they continue to tell them. Kevin Chapman, owner of Foot Dynamics at 11th and Main, tells us.
Our business is legitimately in jeopardy due to people with foot issues not being able to get to their appointment because there's literally nowhere to park. And at this point on 11th and Main Street, we're on an island. Grove is closed, 13th is closed, 11th is closed, 12th is closed. And Main is a one-way street heading east. All the contractors, which has been the crux for about 6 months worth of issues, are parked along the whole south side of Main Street here. So there's literally nowhere for the patrons to park of any of the businesses down here, let alone our prime patient and customers with foot issues. We're just kind of at the mercy of what's happening around us with nobody to go to, and that's a pretty helpless feeling.
Chapman says, for reference, his business did better during COVID than it did during the recent construction that he has watched. And business owners in the impacted areas, they talk about some meetings with the city and other area businesses on the topic of construction and what they're going to do about it to survive. Well, some business owners tell us that they don't think anything has really changed based on those meetings. Others say that they know the situation is tough. They're just hoping they can survive the best they can. But what does the city of Boise have to say about all of this? They have received some community criticism on their handling it, but they tell us in a statement, quote, "We share the concerns of downtown business owners and have had several meetings and conversations to find both short-term and more permanent solutions so we can support new construction and mitigate negative impact on existing businesses. As a response to frustrations with downtown parking, we've created a West End e-permit for downtown employees, and they've also changed some parking meters from 4 hours to 2 hours to increase parking opportunities for customers, and they've increased their parking enforcement in downtown, the city tells us. So basically, it is what it is right now, but business owners are telling us that they're hoping that people will push through the construction to come visit them for appointments and shopping. Brian, though, it is a very difficult situation for those business owners who, again, they understand why people aren't coming to their business. It's hard to get there right now with the construction.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's a little bit of a nuisance and inconvenience, but it has gone on for quite some time, especially, I want to say, like Idaho Street going out.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of those locations, 11th Street, 10th Street. Yeah, it's been pretty much a burden for a lot of businesses down there. All right, thank you very much, Joe. All right, you love books and want to get back to your community, all while defending yourself against accusations of peddling porn to kids? Well, you're in luck. The city of Boise is looking for people to join its library board of trustees. And we know what you might be thinking. Get appointed to a library board, get respect. Well, okay. Either way, if you live in Boise, you can meet monthly, and you can serve a 5-year term. Oh, you qualify in all those 3 categories. And in all seriousness, maybe you think you could actually do some good on a library board. Well, then you should apply for this position. The Boise Public Library started as a reading room in City Hall way back in 1895. Now they have the main library downtown with the exclamation point and 4 branches in Boise's neighborhoods. The main purpose of the Board of Trustees is, of course, to govern the library, fiscal and policy oversight, that kind of stuff, as well as to uphold the mission, which is to enhance knowledge, realize creative potential, and share ideas and stories. They also want to uphold the library values and commitments to intellectual freedom, universal access, innovation, providing a great experience for members. That's all part of what it is to be part of the board. If you're interested, there's an email where you can send your resume, your cover letter, commission applications at cityofboise.org. Do that by May 8th, by the way, at 5 o'clock in the evening. What's going to happen is they're going to get your application. Mayor Lauren McLean is going to select the trustees, and then the Boise City Council will confirm her choice. Oh, by the way, tomorrow is tax day, if you didn't know. And if you didn't, well, sorry to ruin your Monday, but something that might help cheer you up. There's still a little time left to save some money on your property taxes. You can still apply for a property tax relief program online, but just like those taxes that are due tomorrow, the deadline is tomorrow. Idahoans, currently qualify for 3 different programs. The Idaho Property Tax Reduction Program, 100% service connecting disabled veterans property tax benefit program. That one there. And then the property tax deferral program. Those are the 3 programs available to you. Yes, they're all a mouthful, but they are still helpful. So if you or someone you know wants to get a little money back this tax season, check out those programs and then, of course, sign up before tomorrow. There's Mr. Clean, and then there's the King of Clean. For decades, one Idaho man has made it his mission to make sure you appreciate a royal flush. We're checking in on Idaho's Museum of Clean. All right, you know the drill. This is the time for your questions, your comments, and your concerns. Text them to us to the number on your screen, 208-321-5614. And we hope to share yours at the end of the show, or maybe sometime in the future. Don't forget your name and the hashtag, the 208. Oh, and keep it clean for the kids. If you want to do a little research and maybe Google weird museums in the United States, you know what comes up? Well, there's the Neon Museum in Las Vegas, the Mustard Museum in Middleton, Wisconsin, the Spam Museum in Austin, Minnesota, and of course the International Banana Museum, that's in Mecca, California. And yeah, there's even one from Idaho, and that would be the Potato Museum in Blackfoot. There's another Idaho museum, though, that you won't find on that list. I don't know why, but probably because for at least one man and probably a lot of others, being clean or the pursuit of cleanliness isn't weird at all. Today, as we continue our countdown to KTVB's 70th anniversary, we are taking you back to September of 1995, when John Miller and Exploring Idaho took us to Pocatello and the beginnings of the Museum of Clean.
All these little trinkets you have signify something that has to do with cleaning.
Pardon his bathroom humor, but Don Aslett has worn a lot of aprons in his day. Seems the cleaning king is also known as Don Juan of the John.
We're proud of what we do for a living.
Maybe Don's collection of bathroom cleaners has gone to his head. He's got them all from Congo cream wax to kitchen cleanser.
Oxidol.
Don's obsession with cleaning and toilets began swirling out of control back in his Boy Scout years.
That's a little baby toilet. That was this thing I used for my neckerchief. It really worked.
And Don really worked, cleaning his way through college.
Good exercise, a lot of fun, and paid my way through school.
And it paid off later as Don began taking his toilet trinkets to the big cities.
I've been on Oprah and Sally Jesse and Regis and CNN. I do a lot of national shows.
And wherever he goes...
You walk through airports with that.
Oh, yes. And, I wrote on a fragile, if you drop it, it'll spill on you.
No problem if you're wearing the Mop Your Heart bra. Willie Mop Nelson can handle any spill. The mop on this handle's from the turn of the century.
Cleaning is the world's oldest profession.
A profession that's become an obsession for Don.
Here's kind of another unique broom. This is when you first got married, you bought this broom, and then when you got old, you had a cane, when the broom wore out.
They're all worn out. Like old dinosaurs, these prehistoric picker-uppers are pretty much extinct.
That's a Packard vacuum.
You probably remember all the old names.
The first Electrolux.
If you're old enough, you might remember how they worked. Or didn't work.
Boy, you really had to vacuum to get anything done with that.
Don's more interested with the way they went.
And the Bella went, see that thing, how that goes in there? And you put your mop down and went doing, 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 doing. This is what we call a Texas broom. I guess they did some tall sweeping in Texas.
It all makes you wonder how one guy could be so hung up on housework.
Cleaning is just fun. You get good exercise. You learn a lot. You meet a lot of people. It's refreshing. And you accomplish something. So it never has been work.
What has been work is collecting all 1,800 pieces.
Basically, our end goal is to have a Disneyland of cleaning museum where people come and buff and vacuum.
And maybe even go like this.
Okay, so a lot has changed since John met Don Juan of the John in 1995, or as he calls himself, the Colonel of the Urinal, I think is one of his nicknames. 11 years later, in 2006, Don bought a building in downtown Pocatello. Then in 2011, Don moved out of what, as you saw, looked like a storage room and had realized his end goal of having a Disneyland-like cleaning museum, as you just heard. We caught up with him last week to ask him about it. Hi there. Walking in. We've waited nearly 30 years to talk to Don again. What's another few moments?
How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm 88 years old now. I'm getting a little slow, but hanging in there.
That's amazing. We had a reporter back in, I believe it was 1995, that came to visit you. And so we wanted to talk to you about kind of what's happened since he talked to you. So since then, I understand you spent like a lot of your own money to build the museum.
Quite a few millions to do it. Yes, it took a lot to do it.
So it's a good thing Don made a lot with his cleaning company, his cleaning products, and his 40 books about cleaning. In the middle of all that, Don started collecting cleaning antiques, acquiring the largest inventory of pre-electric vacuums.
So I needed a place to put them, so I ended up buying a whole city block here in Pocatello. They paid several million for it.
He renovated an old warehouse and now has 75,000 square feet of scouring stuff scattered over 3 stories. And this was the ultimate goal the whole time?
My ultimate goal in my life was to sell the value of clean language, clean teeth. You start looking clean solves almost every problem in the world, Brian. And so that's what I'm doing. And it's been really a fun thing to do.
To still love to clean, and you still love to go to the museum.
Every day I go to the museum every day and do tours. Yesterday I did about 10 tours. There's 33,000 museums in the United States, and I think mine's most important.
Pretty good. Back in 1995, Don had 1,800 pieces, as you heard in the story, in that collection. These days, he has more than 5,000 pieces. And expect to get your hands dirty at the Museum of Clean, not literally, but there's plenty of tools of the trade for you to try while you're there. And they still do those school tours. As you heard, Don says he does the guiding all by himself. Birds aren't only real, but we found 2 of them making a real home in Eagle. You know, it'd be cool if they were eagles. Actually, it's kind of cool that they're not. All right, you have something to say or an idea of something we can talk about? Text us at the number on your screen, 208-321-5614. We may share yours at the end of the show. Just remember, keep it clean, concise, and clever. That helps.
Made it into the 70s with a whole lot of wind yesterday. Obviously cooler today, but also calmer, so getting a break from the wind. The colder air is going to be reinforced overnight tonight, and it will eventually change our scattered rain showers into a quick bout of some scattered snow showers all the way down to the valley floors. It will mean some minor accumulations for parts of the valley, maybe up to an inch as you get into the Boise foothills, but it is spring snow, so it can't survive for very long. As you can see, around 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, right during the early morning part of the commute, we are seeing some snow coming down from the sky in parts of the Treasure Valley. Mainly it's the grassy surfaces, the car tops, the garden beds that will see the accumulation. As far as paved surfaces go, the ground's a little too warm to see it accumulate there. So it shouldn't slow down the commute too much tomorrow morning. Into the afternoon, it stays unstable enough to bring about some isolated showers. Could be some times of small hail, even graupel tomorrow afternoon. And then it kind of plays out in a similar way into Wednesday afternoon as well. Cooler temperatures, unsettled conditions almost each and every day through the work week ahead. Through the middle part of the week, our mountains already adding to that hefty snowpack that's up there in the higher elevations, anywhere from about 3 to 5 inches. Some of these numbers might be just a little bit high because, of course, it is spring snow, tends to be a little wetter and heavier and compact a little more quickly. Nevertheless, inches of snow in our mountain areas and a winter weather advisory for the central mountains, including places like Stanley and Sun Valley through tomorrow afternoon. Highs tomorrow, well below average, 10 to 15 degrees cooler than average. Looking for highs in the low 40s for the Magic Valley, upper 40s to near 50 for the Treasure Valley. But it'll never really feel like it because of the blustery conditions. Winds coming in out of the northwest, gusting up to around 30-35 miles per hour at times. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast for the Boise area. The spring swings continue as we return to 60s and 70s just in time for the weekend. And a look at the 7-day forecast for the Magic Valley as well, staying well below average through the work week and then improving and warming up with more sunshine in store for the weekend ahead. You can always find the forecast at ktvb.com.
All right, despite the winter weather advisory, spring is supposed to be here and is supposed to be the nesting season for Idaho's birds. You know, ducks and geese usually on the ground. That's why they tell you to watch where you're going with your animals out on the greenbelt and such. Birds of prey, hawks and eagles, usually someplace up high. Well, we noticed a new nest being built in an unlikely place. Maybe you noticed it as well as one of the tens of thousands who drive down State Street every day through Eagle. And yes, we're talking about an osprey nest in Eagle. From the traffic on the highway to the traffic in the parking lot, there's a lot going on around Eagle's East End Shopping Center.
Usually we're here by ourselves, you know.
For Larry and Marlene Norman, many mornings are spent here sipping coffee.
Grande pike with steamed cream.
And just seeing what there is to see from the front seat of their truck.
Often there are geese here. There's always habitat to watch.
This morning, their sights are set a little higher.
Well, these guys certainly, and this little construction project that we've been watching is keeping us entertained.
A couple of ospreys
They're busy building.
have decided to make the north side of this East End sign
Not something you see often.
home.
I wonder how many people from the highway here notice this.
And it wasn't something the Normans saw yesterday.
We sure didn't see it, and that's the first thing we saw coming in the driveway today. So
Like a lot of others, seeing the beginnings of what could be
I don't know who's doing what.
something big.
They seem to know what they're doing. They leave and they bring back a very specialized piece of timber.
Ospreys often partner up for life, with the male tasked with selecting the spot
See, that's a nice piece of timber right there.
and supplying the materials for the nest.
As it should be.
And sometimes, in between branches,
That wasn't much.
they might take the time to make more than just the nest. I mean, they're gonna need the babies to fill it,
You can't get this at every restaurant.
turning a normal morning for the Normans into something more.
We've seen a lot of construction in Ada County in the last few years, and this is probably one of the nicer ones for us, you know.
Location, this doesn't seem to be much of a selling point for ospreys.
They picked that spot. I don't think there's any backing off now.
And the Normans, they'll be back too.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep track of this now that we know it's there.
Okay, so the ospreys not only mate for life, they're also pretty attached to their nests. Many of them return every year to the same one, and they just keep adding to it. So much so that some of them, after generations of gathering, they could end up about 10 to 13 feet deep and about 3 to 6 feet across. Of course, these are the nests that are kind of secluded, tucked away in cliffs and trees and stuff. But the question is, will that one get that big? Well, we asked Idaho's Department of Fish and Game about osprey nests being built in such places, so close to civilization and such. They told us the osprey has become pretty adaptable, and if the nest ends up being successful, meaning they raise osprey offspring in that nest, well, it could be there for several years. Of course, that also depends on the owner of the sign if they want to allow it to remain there. We got several comments today about the construction that's taking place in downtown Boise, the inconvenience it's putting people in because of, well, they can't get to doctor's appointments or to stores, and the business owners that are not seeing the customers come in because they can't park as close as they used to and probably can't even get to it easily, I guess. And so some of you have sent things in like an easy fix for the parking problem downtown. City issues rideshare vouchers and the customers are dropped off in front of the business, says David in Boise. That's an option. I guess, where would you set that up? And some people have suggested, you know, some of those old empty lots that are scattered across downtown. Instead of taking up valuable parking downtown, why don't the construction crews park in one of the many half-vacant parking lots around town, and they can shuttle into the work site as opposed to the people being shuttled into businesses? I guess maybe, Chris, if they want, there's some of their equipment in the back of the truck, got to keep it close, I guess. Some of these big projects, you have seen that happen where they have specific construction parking set up, but it's usually adjacent to that construction site, but not too far away. There aren't too many spots like that left around downtown Boise. Hey, Brian, we have an Osprey nest and star right across from Ridley's. We love watching the nest every year. They do come back, and the little ones are so cute, says Kathy and Star. We'll see what happens with that one in Eagle. That one is, again, right at Edgewood and State, that corner, that new shopping place there, or I should say right next to the Starbucks, which is right there. So if you drive down State Street, you probably will see it. Hey, check out the Museum of Clean in Pocatello. We've traveled all over, but the Museum of Clean is the most fun, quirky, and interesting I've ever seen. The kids will love it, says Sandy. Did she watch the story and then decide to tell us we should go check it out? Or was that beforehand? I don't know. That was the cleanest story KTVB has ever reported. Thank you. All right, this is where we put together a string of some bad jokes when it comes to the Museum of Clean. So let's just finish it up, shall we? I'd have to say that Dawn is the epitome of your text request to keep it clean, says Susan in Meridian. My friend got a PhD in washing machines. Now they call him the spin doctor. I apologize.